of Black History Month, we are taking a look at one of Oklahoma's war heroes.
Staff Sergeant Ruben Rivers was part of the famed Black Panthers, an all-African-American tank battalion. He's Oklahoma's only Black Medal of Honor recipient from World War II, but it would take half a century after his death on the battlefield to get the honor. As fighting raged in Europe during World War II, members of the 761st Tank Battalion, a primarily all-black group of soldiers, first had to fight stereotypes. The military was segregated, and some leaders had reservations about using African-American soldiers in combat.
It was considered an experiment at the time, pretty much like the Tuskegee Airmen.
After training longer than any other tank battalion, 2 years compared to a few months for white soldiers, the Black Panthers finally got a chance to fight the Nazis and prove naysayers wrong.
Some people felt that African Americans didn't have the intelligence to be good tankers.
Art Burton is an author and historian. He says military leaders, skeptical of the Black Panthers' ability to fight, didn't want to send them. But General George Patton needed them. After arriving in Normandy in October of 1944, the Black Panthers would go through 183 straight days of combat, liberating 30 towns on their way toward Germany. The first African-American tankers to see combat took part in campaigns through 6 countries.
They were ready to fight the Germans, and when they sent them over, they proved their mettle.
One of the men who proved his mettle is Staff Sergeant Ruben Rivers from Tecumseh, Oklahoma.
I think Ruben Rivers is a true American hero of World War II, and I think Oklahomans can be proud of what he did, his service to his country.
As the 761st pushed through eastern France toward Germany, Rivers' tank hit a mine. Shrapnel slashed his leg to the bone. Rivers refused to evacuate. We interviewed David Williams, Rivers' commanding officer, back in 1996.
He said, "Captain, this is going to be bad. You're going to need me. A couple days won't make any difference."
Instead, Rivers took command of another tank and advanced with his company to keep fighting. The next day, as his fellow Black Panthers pulled back to take cover under heavy fire from a German anti-tank unit, Rivers covered their withdrawal.
He had no fear. I mean, you know, he was ready to die for what he was trying to do.
Rivers was killed when his tank took a direct hit from 2 high-powered artillery shells. He's buried at the American Cemetery in Lorraine, France. We also talked to Rivers' brother Willie and his sister Thelma Jackson back in 1996.
As a brave soldier that deserved everything that he stood for.
He was a great man. That's one thing I can say, he was a great man.
Because of his heroic actions here in France, Rivers' captain nominated him for the Medal of Honor, but it would take nearly 50 years for it to be awarded.
Accepting the Medal of Honor for Staff Sergeant Rivers is Grace Woodfork, his eldest sister.
In 1997, President Bill Clinton awarded the Medal of Honor to Rivers and other African-American soldiers from World War II overlooked for the award.
They were prepared to sacrifice everything for freedom, even though freedom's fullness was denied to them.
The president said Rivers' fighting spirit and daring leadership were an inspiration to his unit. Burton says Rivers should be an inspiration to all Oklahomans.
They should remember him whenever they remember the veterans of Oklahoma, that Ruben Rivers was right there at the top of the heap, you know, in terms of being brave and fighting for his country.